You know, there comes a time when you look back in life at the choices you made, at the people you've met, and you either have regrets or, you kind of just look fondly of those memories and whatnot. And one of those fond memories and regrets is friendships. Today, I'd just like to talk about some of my sort of regrets. And one of those, regrets is just not being able to say goodbye or have some kind of closure with people. Especially people that, you really care about. Like some of your best friends or whatnot. So back in middle school, I pretty much went to this after school program. And you had to go to a club and whatnot. And my club was animation. And at first I only joined animation because obviously I heard that you'd play Minecraft in the computer lab. So I joined animation. And the club itself wasn't, it wasn't what I expected. Cause sure you had that you had that upside of being able to play Minecraft in the computer lab. But there was the actual club aspect to it because we had two mentors, basically. It was one for the actual animation aspect of the club, and then the other was sort of more art-based crafts, if you will. And through those groups that we had to form, I've met a couple people. And those couple people would form, I guess, sort of a trio. I had two very important friends in that club who I would spend time with for basically 2/3 of my middle school career, I guess. Career? I have no idea if that's what we'd call it, but it was sort of just spent with them in the after school program because they were a year behind. So I was 7th grade, they were freshmen. Regardless, after school I would meet them and we would go to the club and whatnot. And they were really great friends. Some of the best friends I've ever had actually. And obviously, friendships don't last or things don't last, and you kind of just have to move on in life, and that's sort of what came during my senior year of middle school. I pretty much had to say goodbye to them because obviously they were a year behind and I had to leave. So I only got 2 years with them. While here in the US, I know middle school is 3 years, so you have 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. So I was in my last year and I had to say goodbye. And I would say goodbye to one of my friends. Well, one of the friends from the trio, if you will. And in the other, we had a club field trip to celebrate sort of the end year. The end of the to celebrate this. Oh my god, I can't speak. To sort of celebrate the end of the year. And in that trip, we sort of just went to the movie theaters and we watched the new Incredibles 2 at the time. And while my impressions of that movie are kind of mixed, it's not really the point of the video. Again, as time went by, it came closer to actually having to say goodbye to that friend because obviously that trip wasn't going to last forever. It had to come to an end, and while we were on the school bus, on our way back to school one last time, I remember it vividly because it's such a it's a good memory that I have, but I also have regrets in that memory, so I guess that's just sort of why I remember it so vividly. But I was sitting next to that friend playing Fruit Ninja on my phone. But I was contemplating, how should I say goodbye? I was thinking how to say goodbye for a good 10 minutes, I'd say. Maybe more. And that sort of thought became even more stronger or more apparent as we got closer. And once we pulled up to like the parking lot of the school and whatnot, I was like, it's now or never. But in the end, I never had the courage to say goodbye, and I was just like, you know what? I was like, you know what? I'll see you later. But I never really gave a goodbye, so to speak. And that's sort of one of my regrets with that sort of friendship and how it ended. Because we knew we would probably be going to different places, different middle schools. And we did. But what I regret not doing was having the courage to sort of let go or saying goodbye, And it sort of hurts not being able to say goodbye. Especially if, you're not going to see them again. Because if it's a person that, like, you really cared about, you want closure if you know it's going to end at some point. But obviously, circumstances sometimes don't let you end it off in a high note. Sometimes things just happen and maybe you won't see that person again, even though you didn't know it was going to be the last day you'd see them. And I sort of understand that feeling now more than ever. And then that sort of thing would happen to me a couple more times, mainly with my exes and whatnot. With my first ex, I kind of just sort of drifted off, and we remain as friends, but it kind of just felt like things were off, And I guess we both had that same idea and kind of just never said bye, more so we just drifted apart. But with my second ex, see, I don't even know if they even watch my videos at this point now, but regardless, I made an attempt to sort of end things, but they were, for the lack of a better term, not well thought of. And I wasn't at the best headspace. I wasn't at the best headspace, and I ended up hurting them in the process. And even before then, I was hurting them in that relationship. The fact that we went back as friends even after I was pretty much shit to her, that's all I could ask for, But I kept doing the same thing over and over, just being awful. And I acted as like nothing happened. And when the time came for things to end, I didn't know they were gonna end. I just thought, it was just another day. But one day, things just stopped. And a part of me just wants to say goodbye, I could just text her that, like, thanks for, oh shit. I kind of just fucked myself there. I could always just say something along the lines of, like, I apologize for all that I did, and I wish you farewell, But, I don't know. I've definitely overstayed my welcome in that regard, but even now, more recently, I'm probably making the same mistake again. I never really viewed my parents in a sort of positive light, mostly because they were absent for most of my life, and while they are still here, they aren't there, so to speak. So when I got the news that, my dad is going out of the country for papers and whatnot, I didn't really feel anything because, my hatred for my parents are just like on the fucking, they're up. Like, I just hate them. But more so, I'm just mad at myself. And I might not see him again. Because he's done some things that probably won't warrant him citizenship. But, the moral of the story is here. It's just, you know, if things are gonna end, and you know they are, and you probably won't see that person again, or you just, you know, if things should end on if things should end because you know they have to, you know, instead of just letting things happen as they are, letting life, you know, carry you, make the effort to end things on a higher note, because then you won't have to look things in a more negative light than I've been looking at. And you'd be able to have closure with life, because you're not always going to have closure with a lot of things in your life. And my heart goes out to those that aren't able to have closure, to say their last goodbye to their loved ones or not, because it's a pretty tough feeling, you know. That's just sort of what I wanted to talk about today. God, I don't want to be crying, man. But anyways, hope you guys have a good day, I guess.